is Tabitha Mkize, who's the producer of the film, God's Work. It's a fantastic opportunity to meet with you and to have a conversation with you about the film. You're an iconic figure here in Durban. You've pretty much been involved in a lot of influential Durban-based films. We'll have a nice chat about what the trajectory of film might look like in Durban, but what the trajectory looks like right now is God's Work. So I first want to congratulate you on bringing to the world this fantastic piece of work. It's a really powerful film. It's got some very powerful characters, and that's a good starting point. Why were you interested in bringing all these elements together to ensure that a story about Durban, about people in Durban, that stories are not usually made about, homeless populations, and are also portrayed as powerful? Why was it so important to bring all these elements together and produce a film of this nature?
Yes, so I guess it's a combination of what is important to me as a filmmaker. So the thing that's important to me is to tell the stories of people on margins of society, but tell it in a way that's interesting and not just pitying and basic. So things that I want to do, for me, it's in terms of telling stories about people in the margins of society. Social commentary is very important to me, but also entertainment value is very important to me, and also cinematic quality. So it feels like the God's Work was a combination of all the things that are important to me as a filmmaker. And when you look at God's Work, it doesn't feel. I feel like the entertainment value comes from characters. So like for me, my definition of entertainment value is basically it's not Hollywood. It's like how to keep you engaged in the story, and that you don't feel bored and you feel constantly on your toes with watching the film. And God's Work does that by playing with the form of cinema and story. And I really like the way that it's an interesting way to tell the story of homeless people in Durban, but doesn't tell them as like in terms of a bland social realism lens, which is this basically this is sad, this is what it actually looks like on the ground. But it tells you in a way that gets your emotions involved, that gets you imagining things, and it makes you think. So it's not just like telling you information, it's making you feel. So God's Work definitely combined all my cinematic obsessions and things that I would.
Were there challenges doing that sometimes? Were there times where your definition, which is beautiful, a character-driven entertainment, were there times where that character-driven entertainment would sometimes clash with story, or where story would sometimes clash with the need to make it cinematic? These elements, which some people probably see as very different, but you weave together quite beautifully. Was it difficult to do that?
Well, yes, to be honest, it was difficult on the page, because on the page, which is the most important part of the process, is to make it clear. So for kind of the story of God's Work with so many different elements and such high level ambitions, the most important thing is clarity, to make sure it's no one's confused as we go on these big ideas. And in terms of actual cinematic value, I think I didn't have too much stress about that, because I had faith in the Magazine director and his DOP, Jared Hyde. They've worked together many times. So for me, the focus was the story, making it not only clear and total, but also possible. Because the first drafts of God's Work script were budgeted. It's impossible. Like you have to make it like things that you can actually make. So it's as directors, it's very heartbreaking to tell them that okay, this is not actually possible. But it's just a matter of like taking what you want to do and funneling into what's possible, and then you find that it actually brings things that are even better.
You put that really well. There's story, there's form, there's budget.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the budget side of things. When you're pitching, when you're raising the funds for this, how are you selling this new kind of storytelling? because the film uses, as you mentioned earlier, a bit of avant-garde or experimental form. There's a film within a film. There's a merging between documentary style versus fiction film, the style that is being called docufiction, but still predominantly a fiction narrative film. And then there's obviously, of course, characters that are not usually depicted on the big screen.
Yeah.
So how are you pitching this in order to raise the capital to make the film happen?
To be honest, it was tough. It was a tough sell. Most people would find it difficult to understand it. Also, it was difficult because Michael wasn't like a known name, so it was difficult for people to trust that he can pull off his great ambition. So it was a tough sell. And the thing that we ended up doing was we got a lot of local funding. So all the kind of funding that we could get locally, we got that money. And they were much more willing to take a chance because I guess they have different mandates than people who are doing it for profit. And then once we kind of shot the film before we had also money for post-production, having faith that when people see it, they'll understand and they will be able to come on board. And that's how it ended up happening. We shot it, we just had a rough cut, and then we were looking for partners and for post-production funding. And then that's when we got a co-producer who came on board and helped us complete the post-production process, but also is helping us market and release the film. So that's been our strategy.
I think that makes a lot of sense. It's a local film. People should get on board quickly to sort of tell local stories.
Yeah.
But that might not be enough money to take it internationally.
Yeah.
So is there also some sort of focus on distributing internationally, on getting the film? Of course, it's screening tonight, it's premiering to local audiences, that's quite exciting.
Yeah.
Is there also a sense that this is a sort of a story that the international market would buy into, would enjoy, would appreciate, would feel that it resonates with them as well? Themes that they can sort of also weave into their own identities wherever they are in the world? And was there also a sense from a production side of things that we also want international eyes?
That's always been our goal from the beginning, because we felt that, I mean, homelessness is not just a Durban problem. Every major city in the world is facing the moral dilemma of what to do with the homeless community as people are, as the cost of living goes crazy and people are struggling to find a home. And this homeless community, homeless problem is a growing problem around the world. So that was our angle, that we believe that everyone in the world can understand the problem. And then we thought that because we always believe that this is a global story, even though it's a very local focus. So our strategy is always included international, because also the art house market within South Africa is very small. So that's our eyes are always international. And that's part of the reason why our co-producer came on board. He saw the international potential for this very local film because of the quality of the actual image, which is important for people internationally, and maybe the story. And so he came on board seeing that the whole strategy was always to be able to select a different territory around the world. And right now we are looking for partners to help us do that. The support of Durban is very important to make sure that at least locally people are fully behind the story. And then there's lots of international people coming in Durban Film Art. And then, this is like the launch pad into our big strategy. And then the next step is to go into a festival run, and then, and it's nice.
I love your strategy. It's like, we're going to get enough money to make the film. Okay, we've made the film.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get enough money to post-produce the film. Okay, now we've actually finally got it ready for theatrical release. Okay, now we're going to release it theatrically, and then we're going to get more support and partners to spread it internationally. I think that step-by-step approach is probably really smart for a film like this. Especially, like you mentioned, it's a film that many people might think they have to take a chance on. But after watching it, do you get that sense that they no longer see it as an underdog film? They see it as a hit, as a trendsetter? Like, is there a sort of change in people's perspective when they hear about the film versus after they've seen it?
I feel like the only way that I can get a sense of that from the trailer, most people haven't seen it yet. This is going to be the first time people seeing the film on the grand scale. And I feel people who do see it, they get it. They get it once they've seen it. And in terms of a underdog film, experience of God's work right now, as in these festivals, people are interested in it, people want to watch it, people are excited about it, and that's I'm holding on to that. I'm hoping for the best because I think people can recognize that it might be a different level, a different idea of how to tell very local cultures stories. So yeah.
Yeah, I hear it's sold out tonight. That's quite fantastic. So,
Yeah.
so all the doomsayers saying is the death of cinema.
Yeah.
Maybe we just needed to produce more films like God's work. As
Yeah.
do you think that is something that will bring more people locally back into theaters to support film both financially and with their eyes?
Yeah, I think we really pushed hard with the marketing and talking about the film as far as wide possible, and also to really give props to the institutions that here at KZN. They've been helping us spread the word at KZN Tourism and Film Authority, Durban Film Office, Integrity Municipality. They've been really helping us spread the word. So it is a matter of creating something good, having a trailer that really intrigues people, and then spreading the word far and wide. And then when people think something is good and we win the other time, they'll show up.
Speaking about Durban, you've been making films in Durban for quite a while. You've collaborated a lot with these same officers that you're collaborating with in God's work. I believe you traveled with a KZN delegation to Cannes Film Festival. So tell us about your collaboration with Durban as a city. Obviously, with God's work, there's a collaboration with Durban, but tracking through time, how has that been, and what do you predict about your working with Durban going forward? Do you think you'll make some more, produce some more Durban-related stories? And then, obviously, very important for those who are from Durban, are there opportunities for a lot more Durban-based stories right now?
Yes. So I always say that I'm a product of like government programs. I don't think without the concerted effort of like kind of programs to push female producers and black producers and disabled producers forward. Those I think as a combination of I do feel I have a talent and have stories to tell, but also I do think the programs, the youth programs, all those different programs within the government have really helped me mostly gain my confidence because sometimes you have stories to tell, but you need just framing, like someone to take it from step 0 to step 1. You know what I mean? So for me, it was I did a micro-budget feature with the film office called Dreams of Gomorrah. And then during that process, I had a mentor. They linked me with a mentor, and she took me literally to the step of producing a film. And that experience gave me so it's just having someone to ask, saying like, okay, this is what I think. This is going to work, and then the years of experience fills in the gap between what I know and what I don't know. And also, so that was an important part of my career. And then after you've got Dreams of Gomorrah, it's a small film, and then you have something to show for yourself. You know what I mean? Then you go to other programs and people ask, what have you done? You have something. You know what I mean? That's the important part of my career. And then the KZN Tourism and Film Authority, they sometimes take filmmakers internationally to different festivals. Also, the NFEF took me to Berlin last year. So all these kinds of things, because in the film career is really built on relationships. So you go to these places, and then you network. And I've always been surprised by how everyone's available to you as long as you have a good idea and something to show for yourself.
So you've traveled internationally. Do you feel like your films, God's work, is that something that you would like to keep pushing an international market? Is there a time where you might be a producer outside of Durban? Maybe you might start producing films in other countries. Is that something you're looking forward to in your own career, or are you going to be based in Durban for a while going forward?
I think I'm always going to be based in Durban, but I would like big co-productions, so to work with countries around the world earlier on in the process, because this one came right to the end, because so that we have bigger production budgets also, so you have more opportunity, and also just to get a sense of like just to make this an actual viable, consistent living. Right now, it's still very much a project to project basis. But it's the more you, it's like it's a step by step process, and I'm hoping that it becomes easier to sustain.
So let's talk about that project to project. When you're done with this, who knows how long that will
Yeah.
finally take to be done with the project.
Yeah.
You're gonna take a break. Are you gonna hit right into the next project?
Oh, there's no breaks. There's no breaks. You have to just move into the momentum. Yeah. So right now it is kind of a break though, because I don't have anything like I'm actively just financing, just developing few projects right now. So yeah, but Gospel is still going to keep me busy for a while. So yeah, just definitely keep going as far as I can.
Good luck with the premiere tonight. This was a fantastic conversation.